Hello everyone, today's poem is 被风简析 by 佚名 or by anonymous, a Bei Wind poem from the Book of Songs, 诗经. This poem has so many arguments or interpretations through the Chinese history, and from the first glance, this poem is quite simple. It describes a grand ceremony focusing on the dancer and the dancing part. Yet it's so hard to explain why they wrote this poem. What does the poet want to express by this poem? Because in the belief of the Zhou people, the poet or the Book of Songs, the Songs is a kind of record of their dynasty, of their glory, or of their sadness whatsoever. So it's basically an alternative to the history book for the Zhou people. And also it serves as the music songs for a lot of their ceremonies or their events, dining events whatsoever. So that's a part of the code of Zhou. A new interpretation was proposed in this video by myself, and the key point to interpret this poem is whenever we look at the poem in the Bei Wind, in the Yun Wind, or in the Wei Wind, it looks like they are the state of the Zhou people, the lord, the noble persons, the high-ranking officials. Most of them are Zhou people, but at the same time, this place, this area, and the majority of the people of this place is of the previous dynasty, the Shang dynasty. And from the history book, we know that the Shang dynasty has a much more prosperous and glory than the Zhou dynasty at the very beginning of the Zhou dynasty. And the king of Zhou actually employed a lot of the Shang people to help the Zhou people to record the history, to develop some of the cultures and some of the techniques for the Zhou dynasty. And it's very clearly noted that the history, the people responsible to write down the history was from the Shang dynasty, from the officers of the previous dynasty of Shang. So when we look at this poem, keep in mind the people in this land, the majority of people in this land are Shang people, and the dance described in this poem actually appeared in another poem in the Book of Songs. Na Shang Song, the song of the Shang dynasty. Though the term Wan Wu appeared in both of these two poems, and by analysis these two poems, this dance is very clearly for the big grand ceremony for their ancestors. They make a big sacrifice together with this grand big dance. It doesn't mean 10,000 people dancing together. Most probably the term one actually refers to the frog, and the frog is treated by the Shang people as a good fortune animals, and they have many descendants. And for the Asian people, no matter Shang people or Zhou people, to have as many as descendants, as many as sons and daughters, is the most wanted things for them, even for the kings, for the nobles. That's the most important things, to have their descendants last and prosperous. Now let's look at this poem. The wording actually is quite simple and straightforward. The problem is how to decipher, how to interpret the meaning of this poem, what the feelings, what does the poet want to express. 简兮简兮，方将万物. So we know 万物 is the term of this dance, the name of that type of dance. And this type of dance is for the most grand ceremony for their ancestors. Jian is the sound simulation of the drum. In another Book of Songs poem, Na, it has the word 奏鼓简简. So from this sentence we know the 简简 is the sound simulation for the drum. So the first sentence actually means, oh, the drum is beating and beating, and it's about the time for that dance. 万物, 方将 is about. 日之方中，在前上处。日, the sun is just above the head, in the middle. So it means it's the noon time, it's the mid-noon. 在前上处, it's on the up front. And this sentence actually tells us the time and how the people, the dancers, are arranged. They are facing to the south, to the sun. A second thought, this is quite natural, because when the Zhou people make sacrifice to their ancestors, actually the major target is not their ancestors, it's the God, is the heaven. Their ancestors is the son of the heaven, 天子, and they come along with the God and have the sacrifice their descendants made to them. So here we can see it double confirmed. This is a ceremony, most probably a sacrifice to their ancestors, to the God, to the heaven. The second paragraph. 硕人与宇，宫廷万物。硕人, the giant. So that's the value of just Zhou people. The bigger, the better. So they use to use the giant to describe a very powerful, a beauty, anyone they adore, they worship. Yu is describing the dancers, those giants. They are very strong and swift. 宫廷万物. So in the garden of the Lord, we have this dance, the sacrifice dance, 万物. So 宫, the Lord, be careful on that character. So whenever you saw that, it means the Lord of, and in this situation, it's the Lord of the Bei state. In his garden, we have this big ceremony. We have this dance right now. So the dance started in the second paragraph. 有力如虎，直佩如祖. So it's still about the dancers. So they are so powerful and swift like the tiger, and they take the pay is the rope on the horse like this picture. And so here actually they're telling the story that the dance is not only by the people, the human, it's also with the horses. And the giants, they take the horse, the rope on that horse, like the silver rope. Zhou is a very special silver rope. Normally it's decorated for the most grand ceremonies as a chain of colorful chains. And the Chinese knot is somewhat a little bit similar to the Zhou. And so in the second paragraph, the second sentence is about the dancers. They are so powerful, they are so swift, and they dancing with the horse. The horse was with very colorful and beautiful robes or decorations on the horse. Now the third paragraph, 左手执月，右手秉笛. So this is also about the dancers. Someone said this is the female dancers. The previous second paragraph is about the male dancers. But anyhow, it's hard to tell. Nobody knows very exactly. So in the second paragraph, 左手执月, the left hand is with the 乐. 乐 is a musical instrument, and it's not like the most explanations or pictures that a pipe with 3 holes. Actually, it's a big pipe, a ball-like pipe with 3 thin pipes on them. So it's just very like the today's musical instrument, 葫芦丝, is quite like. So it's on the 葫芦. So the base is a ball-like base, and it's a ball-like pipe, and 3 thin pipe was on that. 右手秉笛, 笛 is feather, the colorful feathers. So this is a very typical dance of the Zhou people with the musical instrument of 乐 and with the feather in their right hand. So this is very typical. 鹤如握者，公言赐爵. The face is in the red, so brightful, and the Lord ordered to give them a cup of wine. So the third paragraph is still about the grand ceremony, about the dancers and the Lord as well. And everything was progressing in a very brightful, grandeur way. Now the fourth paragraph. If without the fourth paragraph, this poem is so positive and so colorful and so lively, it could be treated as a song to praise the Bei state, to praise the Lord of the Bei state, and everything was reflected through the dancers and through the grand ceremony. And with the fourth paragraph, everything changed. Let's see. 山有针，喜有灵。针 a small wood. 灵 a type of grass. So the sentence means on the mountain, on the hill, there is wood of 针, and on the lower ground, on the wet ground, there is grass of Ling. So this is a very typical sentence pattern in the Book of Songs. In the state's wind, on the hill there is what type of grass or wood. On the lower land, xi means the lower land, wetland, there is what type of grass, what type of wood. It's very typical sentence pattern. But when I have a further check that the wood of Zheng only appears in the state's wind of Bei Wind in this point, in the Yong wind and in Cao wind. So basically, these three states is the capital area of the Yin dynasty. They should be the same people of the Yin people. They should also share a similar environment, nature, world, a little different from the Zhou people, which is from the west. And in the Zhou wind, we never see the wood of Zheng, we never see the grass of Ling. And so my personal opinion is this sentence is a very typical pattern in the stage wind, but the poet used this typical sentence to point out this place is still has some little difference from the Zhou capitals, and even the Lord is Zhou people here, but something still different. Another thing we can see from the writing technique, Xing, basically is the formal starting writings in the Book of Songs, to write something of the scenarios, to write of something of the surrounding worlds as the starting sentence of the whole poem. And let's check this poem. The starting is 简兮简兮方将万物. It goes to the subject, goes to the dancer and dance directly without the very formal and typical starting, 心. And in the last paragraph, the starting sentence is 心. On the hill, there is wood of Zheng. In the lower ground, there is grass of Ling. This is 心, the formal writing technique, but he didn't use it formally to put it on the very beginning of this poem. So he violates something that defined by the Zhou dynasty, defined by the Book of Songs. So you can see a lot of difference. The poet tried to show out in the first sentence in the last fourth paragraph. If this assumption or this analysis is up to the point, the following is quite easy to understand, and all the arguments, interpretations in the Chinese history, they have a huge, big arguments on the last two sentences, because it's hard to reason what they are telling about, what the sentence is about. So with my new interpretation, the poet is a Yin people. He serves as a high-ranking officer in the Bei state for the Zhou people, because at the very beginning of the Zhou dynasty, the well-educated person are still the Yin people and the Yin officers. And from the first sentence of the fourth paragraph, and this poet implied very strongly that now the state are the state of the Zhou people, but there is something still different, and we are the people different. And with that in mind, let's go to the last two pair of sentences. 愚人谁之思，西方美人. So with all this grand ceremony, sacrifice, with those dancers, horses, with the Lord, everybody here, what who we memorize or who we think about. So from the dance name, we know it's a dance used by the Yin people to make sacrifice to their ancestors. So this shouldn't change too much. But there's something changed. The Lord changed. So with this state grand ceremony, this ceremony should be for the Zhou people, not for the Yin people anymore. And 愚人谁之思 is quite easy to explain, because obviously this ceremony is for the ancestor of the Zhou people, but here he used a rhetorical question. Who do we make sacrifice to? Who do we think about? Who do we memorize to? Actually, everybody knows the fact. This is for the Zhou people. And then he answered this obvious question, 西方美人. So this very clearly tells us this ceremony or this sacrifice is for the West people from the West, and those people are 美人. So today, 美人we only use to refer to the female beauties, but in the Book of Songs time, basically, it's hard to tell, and it could be male person, it could be female person. So it does not necessary to be a female person. And here, from the whole poem, we can tell that he said this grand ceremony is for the Zhou people who's from the West. They are the strong, powerful, and beautiful, noble persons. And if we read to this point, it's still not clear enough who's writing this poem and what the feeling he wants to express. The last pair of sentences make it so obvious. 比美人兮，西方之人兮. So this is also the biggest argument in other interpretations through the Chinese history, because they cannot explain why the last sentence about. So with my new explanation, it's quite simple. The poet is a Yin people, and he knows all these sacrifice, this grand dance is used to be for their ancestors, for the ancestors of the Yin people. But now, because the dynasty changed, everything is for the Zhou people, not for their ancestors. They feel so lost, of course. And the poet used the last sentence to mock the Zhou people, to mock the Lord of Bei State. 比美人兮, oh, those guys are strong, powerful people. They are from the West. So you can feel the feeling of this poet, right? He feels so lost, and he mock on the Zhou people. So by the last paragraph, the poet totally changed the spirit of this poem. from a very powerful, lively, brightful scenario ceremony to a very low spirit and mocking with irony. And some of the ancient Chinese scholars, they read out this irony, this mocking, like Zhou has noted for this poem, 简易不公之意. So he means the poet or this poem shows no respect. No respect to whom? The Yin people. This poet has no respect to their rulers, to their lord, who was the Zhou people. Okay, that's for today, and I wish you enjoyed. Bye bye.